So I'll start with this question of in Praveen's presentation. He has said what exactly, I mean, when words are weapons, so the problem is twofold. That weapon, the Ilaiah's words as weapons are not just for the for the SC/ST, OBC minorities, or to put it in his own words, Dalit Bahujans, or now Shudra Ati Shudra. It is also weapons to the Hindutva. So at this juncture, we need to understand. The attack on Professor Ilaiah when social on Bania, when the post-Hindu India's chapter was translated into Telugu. So why exactly we thought is that under this regime, uh, as Ilaiah himself has written a piece in The Week, that the BJP hates the pen and loves the gun, right? And now this weapon of the other, that is one of the other book also, which discusses the nationalism, the anti-caste nationalism, and that history, which the few discussants have were mentioning, that for Ilaiah, that epistemological conflict in history matters, and that he discusses in his book, in his work, Weapons of the Other, which he worked in a fellowship in Teen Murti Library. So for us, in that sense, we thought of keeping this first level of, this is a series of discussion, and in the first, we thought we will take political theories and public intellectual Professor Ilaiah's works in this. And coming to second, I'll just, as a refresher thing, I would just remind the listeners that his Why I Am Not a Book, Why I Am Not a Hindu book, is not just that single title. Why I Am Not a Hindu, the subtitle goes, a Shudra critique, not the other critique, it's QUE, a Shudra critique of Hindutva philosophy, culture, and political economy. And I would just, one line from the preface and one line from the introduction shows that, how exactly Professor Ilaiah wanted to take his journey forward. That for him, the Dalit Bahujan means people and caste who form the exploited and suppressed majority. And in the introduction, he talks about experience as a framework, where he mentions one line saying that narratives of personal experience are the best context in which to compare and contrast these social forms. So I'll just make a quick point on this, that why exactly these personal experiences are the best context. As there are other political science professors here in this panel and historians, and we in political science, like my professor who taught us political science, Professor Suri, is also here, and we discuss Myron Wiener in our classrooms. And when we talk about political culture, so in India, they say that there are two political cultures. One is a ruling elite, or the mass culture, which is also an emerging mass culture. Now in India, to understand the political socialization, we do not have a proper now psephology studies are trying to understand what voting mechanism or voting behavior we are trying to understand. But earlier, there were no proper studies or systematic data on the political socialization. So what political scientists, both Indians and non-Indians, were depending upon, and if you read his chapter in Almond Weber, like Sidney Weber's and all Almond book called Political Culture and Political Development, Myron Wiener says that it is the biographies and the autobiographies of the Indian leaders. And now this shows us this gives us an entire picture in the academia, what exactly goes on. And now discussing or understanding dealing with Professor Ilaiah's works, or any other anti-caste tradition. Now let us pose this question, that we are here now discussing about the not credibility, let's say, that's not a proper word, but how far the methodology or the method of inquiry that Ilaiah is using in understanding the history of ideas, in inquiring the history of ideas, to put it in Quentin Skinner's words. Now, I pose a different question, that why academia has not included that yet? The whole point that the everydayness of these thinkers, the anti-caste writers and thinkers, or the public intellectuals outside the campus, it is all about de-Brahminizing the Indian space. It is all about de-Brahminizing the Indian academia. So now at this juncture, it becomes very important to deal with not just Professor Ilaiah's writings and every other writings. And I'm in fact like very happy when I first heard that Professor Suri has started, has introduced a course on Buddhism in our department. And when he was organizing lectures, continuous lectures, people from across the state were joining. That because there is a zeal to learn. There is a zeal to decode the dominant constructions that are still existing in inside and outside the academic spaces. So not taking much time, I think with these few words, there are so much more to be done, and all the discussants have rightly pointed out the merits and demerits, and that's what we wanted to sort of deal with. Because once after the work of the Shudras was published, all his earlier work were sort of somehow went away. So they were out of the limelight, though Why I Am Not a Hindu was remaining a key thing. And this book called State and Repressive Culture, first published in 1989, it deals extensively with the caste, power and the state and drought, state and SCs, state and backward classes, state and Girijans, state and bonded labor, state and reservations, state and encounters, state and farmers, state and intelligentsia, and Kautilian political culture. Now look at the range of Professor Ilaiah's inquiry that he wants to deal with. From that time to till now, every day what he discusses in his in the articles that he publishes everywhere. So I think, sir, we extend our revolutionary greetings for your presence in the form of, the speak, what you speak, what you write, what you also, our association or organization's association with you is a long one, and also you were a mentor to many of us. And I think, yes, we are critical. We are critical of few of your stands, few of your works, few of your opinions, but that doesn't mean that that would completely negate or belittle your entire larger corpus of writing.